Former Meta recruiter claims she got paid $190,000 a year to do nothing. I'm not sure you want to admit that, something like that. Well, that's a bit odd. We weren't expected to hire anybody for the first 6 months, even the first year. Well, what this does is this sort of illuminates how we got to a place where these layoffs are so major. It comes down to hiring practices and job descriptions. So this was a TikTok. Okay, play me the TikTok.
What did we do all day? That is a great question. When I was working at Meta and I was a recruiter and we weren't expected to hire anybody for the first 6 months, even the first year, this is something they tell you when you start. That really blew my mind. I was like, perfect. I'm just going to ride this out for a year. Obviously, I didn't make that, but you know. So what do you do all day? You're learning. They have a really amazing onboarding and training, the best onboarding and training I've seen from any company ever. It could have been better, but it was still very thorough. The expectations when you start is really that you're just learning and taking it all in because you're drinking from a fire hose. I hate that. I hate that phrase so much. But the most that we did, this is the crazy part, is we had so many team meetings. Why are we meeting? We're not hiring nobody. Just to hear how everybody else wasn't hiring anybody. And also, I was on a team where everybody was new, so none of us were hiring anybody. We were all just like trying to figure out things. None of us knew the answers to. We would ask my boss. She'd be like, I don't know, because she was new too. I really miss it. I wasn't doing shit pretty much. That was nice. I miss those days.
Jeez.
So a lot of training, a lot of meetings,
well,
but no actual work.
Well, she said, I kind of miss those days. I wasn't doing shit, as well as the last part of it. Former Meta recruiters claim that she made $190,000 a year for doing nothing at her job amid the company's recent layoffs. The clip, titled Getting Paid $190K to Do Nothing at Meta, started off with the former job recruiter explaining how her company wasn't hiring new workers while she was there. We weren't expected to hire anybody for the first 6 months. Regarding what she did all day, learning. With the best onboarding process. Like, I don't even know what that sounds.
A lot of
like vacation.
Yeah. Decks. Like PowerPoint presentations. Maybe training courses.
Maybe long lunches.
Maybe swag.
Maybe a hell of a cafeteria.
Yeah. Picnics.
Maybe a company fitness center.
Company axe throwing.
Maybe company axe throwing.
Oh.
I think you might have nailed it over there. What can you say? I mean, I don't know. What was I saying? But what was I saying? But what was I saying earlier in this show? You got to pay the bill at some point. Like if that's going on, you as the worker in that case have to be looking over your shoulder and realizing, okay, I'm not really doing much. So
this is not going to last.
So probably, and that was what was kind of wild about it, is how these companies approach these layoffs, where they're like, find a job internally or else. Please find something to do, as they went through and audited if they had too many people and not enough stuff to do.
And just mass layoff, like thousands of people who probably some of them were really crucial to the company. But it's just that like cleanse, that just completely took out people that were not doing anything and people who were actually quite critical in their roles. So $190K though. Wow.
Well, it didn't last. She was obviously a part of the layoffs.
But what would you do? Like, would you ride it out? Knowing that
depends on the type of person. Depends on the type of person you are, Will. Like, I think
that's true.
There's a logic element that comes into play where you're cashing a check and you're looking around and you're like, when can I progress? Like, the difference between the fulfillment of a check versus the fulfillment of work being done. They're not the same thing. You want the two to line up. Ideally, the work being done is good, and then the check is in some way connected to that. If you remove that connection, it's like a cat and mouse. You're playing tag. You're playing some other weird game where, yeah, I don't know. It depends on the personality type, but I feel like I'd be wanting to contribute in some way. I'd be wanting to say, look, I'm gonna I'm searching for another role here, or to showcase some degree of usefulness, to attempt to progress, not necessarily just in the case of my salary, but to progress in the case of having an actual impact on the place I am every day. I just can't imagine. Can you imagine? I don't know. People have a lot of feelings on this because they're like, well, who cares? Zuckerberg's so damn rich. Who cares? But I don't know. That just doesn't really work for me. I just want to do the math the whole way. And I want to look at it from the perspective that I just want to be doing meaningful work. And meaningful is obviously up for grabs too, terminology wise, but meaningful in the sense that I'm doing something useful for somebody and then I can measure that level of usefulness. Mm-hmm. That seems to be the only thing where I feel like, oh, okay, cool, done.
Yeah, and I'm not, saying that she's lazy or something. Maybe she is trying to maybe she has hobbies and figures it out while she's working at Meta, or maybe she has a startup or something. You know what I mean? So, it's not just sitting on $190K a year. Maybe she would have been doing something else, another job even.
Somebody here says, here's what you do in this situation. You make yourself the most knowledgeable person possible. You get your fingers into every aspect possible so you're flexible. Then if you get fired, you at least have that knowledge for your next gig.
Yeah, you learn.
I agree with that. I agree with that. This is an opportunity. You're inside of Meta. You're understanding the practices. You're meeting other talented people, I presume, and you're building connections and you're learning from experience. So that's ideally, even if you do end up fired, there's a way to get the most out of it.